All right. Welcome everybody to Wapiti live Q&A for July 19th. So tonight we are going to talk about how to tune a diaphragm reed. So as Sandy mentioned, not a lot of people are aware that you can tune a diaphragm reed. And basically what tuning a diaphragm reed is, it's helping it break in faster, doing little things to make it fit in the roof of your mouth better, but doing little things so that you can maximize the tones, the volume, and the sound that you get out of it. This isn't well known in the hunting industry, but it's very well known in the competition world. So there's a reason why a lot of the sounds that we produce when we're competing, that a lot of people have a really tough time. Man, I can't produce that sound. I can't get that sound out in the woods. It's because we're doing things to manipulate a diaphragm reed to give us those things. Now, some of the things that you can do, like I said, you can get a better fit, which gets you a better seal, which maximizes your airflow across the reed, which that's going to give you more volume, better tone control, more note stability, all that stuff. You can also shorten that break-in period. So like if you're a person that likes using a heavy latex reed that usually you have to call on it a bunch to get it to break in, these little things will actually shorten that learning curve and break it in a lot faster so that you don't have to, it kind of extends the life of the call a little bit because you're not putting a lot of acids and salivas on there to break that reed in. So, and the other thing is you can do this so that all of a sudden you can take a reed that maybe the normal octave level is here, and by you kind of manipulating it, you can get that reed to all of a sudden go up here. So, all right. So first things first. So remember the frame on a diaphragm reed, that's an aluminum frame. And so they're usually really flat. And so one of the things that I will always do is I will take my thumbs and I'll put my thumb. So on the back, you'll see just a little tab. Can you guys see that tab? I will put my thumbs on both sides of that tab and I'll put my fingers on the front part. And what I'm doing is I'm basically taking this and I'm just putting a little bit of a bend in it. And so what that bend does, that bend helps it sit up in the roof of the mouth a little more flatter. Because now instead of a straight flat diaphragm reed, you have something that has a little bit of a curve to it. Now this does two things. One, that helps it seat in the roof of your mouth a little bit better, but the thing it does is it helps relax that latex a little bit. So like I said, if it's a real heavy latex, heavy stretch, by you bending that frame just a little bit, that's going to soften that latex up, which is going to make it more callable and easier to control. So the other thing that you can do on that heavy latex is you can actually take your fingers and take that latex and you can just sit here and pull on it just a little bit. You don't want to pull too hard. And what I'm doing right here is I'm stretching this latex. I'm loosening it up. So between bending that frame a little bit and loosening this latex, that's what takes a really stiff, heavy reed and softens it up. So just that little bit took that brand new reed and now I can get really soft. Now, as you call on these, that little arch that you put in there, it's going to grow, meaning the sides are going to sink down. Then what you can do to tighten that back up, once you've worked that call enough that it tightens it up, you just reverse the process of bending that. So now instead of putting a little arch, I'm going to flatten it back out. And so that way if you can, it'll tighten up that latex a little bit, which extends the life of it. Notice how now I kind of tighten that up a little bit and now the notes are just a little bit higher on it. So you can play with those two things right there. Now, little trick. If you take a diaphragm reed and you feel out on the point right here, you will feel a little indentation about right there and right there. What that is when they are building this reed, those are from the press that's pressing down on the frame. And you'll feel those two little depressions. If you actually take those two little impressions and set them on a side of a counter, and you just tap or press down. See that? I told you Jim was coming in. But if you take those two tabs and you put them on the edge of a counter and then you press down, you need to hold the back part here and press down on the front. And what that's going to do is that's going to take the front of this and tilt it down just a little bit. Mr. Jim, how you doing, bud?
All right.
We're talking
I
about
was
how.
trying to get on. I didn't get the little blue link on your thing, on your email.
Oh,
We
really?
had to type it in. Yeah, we had to type it in and try to search it and find it. That's
Oh,
that's why I'm late. If it wasn't for my wife, there's no way. Oh,
well,
way.
I hate to say this for you, Jim, but if it wasn't for your wife, that no way would apply to a lot of aspects.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Mhm,
true. That's true.
mhm.
Sorry I'm late, but I am here this time.
No, that's good. So what we're talking about is just manipulating a diaphragm reed, tuning a diaphragm reed. So, what we were talking about right now, when you feel on a diaphragm reed up in front, you're going to feel a couple of indentations right up here. That's from the press. And what you can do is you can take that and you can basically just kind of put your fingers in there. You can also do this. I was talking about putting it on the edge of a counter and pressing these front down. But the also thing you can do is put your fingers in there, put your thumbs on the back, put your fingers, and you can basically, because remember, this is just an aluminum frame, you can take that. And so now this front little tab is now bent down a little bit. What that does is that takes the front of, now this is an insider trick right here. This is something that I used to do in calling competitions to get 2 to 3 more octaves out of a diaphragm reed and get more volume. So, because what it does is it takes that front of the reed and it bends it down just a little bit. So if your roof of your mouth, see that clearance, normal reed sitting here, normal reed sitting just like this, but you take that front and you bend it down, now all of a sudden it's sitting down here. What that does is it does two things. It gives a little bit more clearance between that diaphragm frame and the roof of your mouth, but also too with that little curl down with your air coming across, it forms just a little bit of dam. So you guys have heard me talk about back pressure. That is one of the easiest ways to create back pressure, which is going to give you note stability. So now this is, well, I'll hold off on that for a moment. So the other thing, Jim, we talked about was if you use a real heavy latex reed. So on the back of the frame where you have that tab, put your thumbs on both sides, put your fingers in the front, and you can actually just bend this a little bit. And what that's going to do is that's going to put an arch in your frame, but it's also going to loosen up that latex.
Soften it up a little bit.
Then you
Gotcha.
can take your fingers and you can just pull on this latex a little bit, and that's basically just going to loosen it up. And then once you call on it, so like a real heavy latex, heavy stretch that you have to do a lot of calling in to break it in. This will allow you to, those two things right there will allow you to break that diaphragm reed in without having to put a lot of salivas that starts eating up the latex. And then once it breaks in a little bit more, you just do the opposite and you can straighten that back out. The other thing
Ah,
by The other thing by doing that too is you can lower the tone of that reed and you can heighten that. Notice when you call on a reed for a little while that it starts, man, that thing's really fitting good to the roof of my mouth. It doesn't feel like it's straight across. That's because your pressures takes that aluminum and starts bending it to the roof of your mouth. You can take that thing out, straighten that thing back out, and that reed will almost act like it's brand new. So that way you get more longevity out of a reed also.
Ah, good to know.
Okay. Rasp, the nya at the end of a call. Okay. What you can do is you can take a diaphragm reed and you just come just inside on the latex on both sides, and you take a very tiny, almost like sewing scissors, and you put just a very tiny notch. I mean, tiny. You're very, very short. You put that little notch on both sides. And what that does is then at the end of your cow calls, when you're dropping off and yaw, it accentuates that bottom end and gets a lot more nasaliness into your cow calls. So if you wanted to basically tune a diaphragm reed just for cow sounds, you can do exactly that. But you got to be careful. You don't want to, and usually doing something like this on a softer stretch reed, because if you have a really high stretch reed, as soon as you try to put that little slit, because of the tension on that reed, it's just gonna go. So you want to do this on a lower stretched tension type reed, but you could turn it into a really, really good cow call. You don't want to bugle on it because that pressure with your tongue on it is going to make those two little slits grow, and it's just you're going to go through that reed really, really quick. Okay. Thoughts or questions? Did you guys have any idea that you can manipulate diaphragm reeds this way?
I had no idea.
Here's what's funny. You can find a frame. You can find a manufacturer of a frame that fits the roof of your mouth really, really well. But maybe you don't like the latex. Doing these little things, you can turn that reed into it's an okay reed into a holy crap, this is the most amazing reed I've ever used in my life. And the other thing too is doing this, like I said, your reeds can last longer because you're continually manipulating them. You can get sounds out of them that you never thought that reed could do. Um, you can take a reed that maybe everybody else in your camp is using, do those two little slits. Now all of a sudden you have this incredible bottom end nasally sound, and they're going to be like, okay, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, it's a secret I learned in Elk Calling Academy. You need to go sign up so that you can learn it too.
Yes. I was talking you up the other day.
Yeah?
Somebody that, oh, yeah.
Well, my ears weren't burning, so.
We'll have to see.
But I had to throw the shameless plug in. Come on.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any questions on tuning a reed?
No.
I know we got a large crowd here tonight, so.
I did. Yeah.
You said that, so if you kind of wore out a reed where the front end of the latex is now kind of loose, you widen that frame to help bend it.
So if the front of it's getting really, really soft,
Yeah.
you can try to, yeah, stretch the front of the reed out or the frame out just a little bit to kind of straighten that out. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that curling the front down will help a little bit, and yeah, you can just pull those out. So
Okay.
I've got something else to show you guys here. See what you think of this. great sound of that reed.
That reed is smooth.
Like that one.
That is a prototype that may become the new Elk Calling Academy signature series with another call manufacturer I've been working with.
Really, that's a nice sound reed.
Oh, it's like butter. Yeah, I mean it's just they did something different on the frame that nobody in the industry has done before. And why nobody ever thought of it before, I have no idea. So, but there's two of them. That's one. That one has a little deeper tone to it and doesn't quite get up to that high octave as the other one, just because it's a little heavier latex.
Oh, it's a nice sound reed.
Let me. All right, insider, you guys are gonna get a sneak peek. Okay,
Cool.
normal reed, normal frame. This frame. Do you notice
Wow.
anything difference?
Yeah, it's bigger.
It's not bigger width-wise,
No,
it's
not widthwise.
longer.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
Longer. So basically what we have found is by doing that, you have a longer channel for your air to flow across.
Wow, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
And why somebody didn't think about that before, I have no idea. But I mean, the testing on it, we're just getting started. But I mean, that first one that I blew on, that thing is, it's just sick. And it just takes absolutely no effort to run that.
That is
And
cool.
remember the trick that I told you guys about bending the tab down? All these are going to come that way. So, okay. Tuning and diaphragm read. And a little sneak peek. Keep that on the down low about that new frame. I got to tell everybody, all of you watching this replay, keep it on the down low about that for now. Okay. So, I think, Sandy, one of the things that you missed out, you can actually take a light latex, light stretch, and you can actually take a pair of small, tiny sewing scissors, and you can make little slits just inside from the frame. Do it about the blade width, make a niche, blade width, make a niche. What those two little niches are going to do is they're going to allow the inside of that reed to vibrate more, and it's going to give you more of that nya on the bottom end on your cow sound. You don't want to bugle on that reed because the pressure will cause those little nicks that you made to grow, but it will create a cow reed that has an insane amount of nasally yaw on the end of it and give you a ton of control that you can get really, really soft. You don't have to. Have you guys ever watched the World Elk Calling Championships?
Yeah.
Okay. So up on stage, you see sometimes how really, really soft we get, where, I mean, even the camera right there can't even hardly pick it up. It's because we're using a reed that's set like that to where we can really, really get that soft. But here's the other cool thing with this too.
That's a cool read.
Isn't it insane that you can go from that volume that I had to that?
It's kind of stupid, really.
It really is. It really, really is. And like I said, that's the first go around with it. So I'm probably gonna. We started with multiple ones where the stretch was about 10 apart, and so now that I've narrowed into that one, I'm gonna have him go 2 2 2 2 2 2. So 2 2 and 2 up, 2 2 and 2 down, just to kind of see how it settles in. But hopefully, I don't know. That one's kind of tough. Got to play with it and see how. So, all right, guys. Any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts?
Oh, all I can say is I was watching a hunting show last week, or I think it was Monday, on the Outdoor Channel, and they were out elk hunting. You've at least taught me well. I'm listening to the elk and listening to what they're saying, and they do this call, and this 5x5 goes walking in, and he does another call, and it just stops and looks. He goes, and just turns and walks off. He goes, must have caught our wind. I'm like, that bull's doing exactly what you told him to do. You told him to stay away.
Yeah. So he lip balled at him or something.
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah. Oh god.
We'll just sit there and look to just turn because I must have caught my wind. I'm like,
No. No, he did exactly. Yeah, he did. Smaller bull. You sounded larger and aggressive, and you told him to
sure
stay
did.
away, and well, he did
It
it.
was on the Lindsay way, actually.
I have a hard time watching hunting shows lately, especially if it's elk hunting videos, because I'll see what they're doing, and I'm just, why? Why did you do that? You
Yeah.
know, they'll get insane responses on cow calls, and then they just turn to bugles, and they're like, oh. Man, I'm not sure why he shut up. You know, he was coming, and I don't know. He must have seen us move or call, or it's like no, he was coming into a cow call. He wasn't wanting to fight. He was
Lost your
coming in
sound.
to read. So yeah. So all right, guys. Well, that's basically it
Hey,
about
you lost your sound.
what's you lost the sound. Oh, Sandy, can you hear me? Joel, you got me?
What'd you do? We lost your
Yeah, I
sound.
can hear you.
Okay. Now
Got you.
here we'll
Oh, there we go.
oh, there you go.
There you
Okay.
go.
I was just going to send you a message that it was only you because the other two could hear. So,
Oh, it figures it's me.
well, it's because your ceiling fan's going again.
I'm sure. It's 111 degrees outside.
I know. That's why when you're
Holy
late getting
cow.
on, I'm sure he's having
Yeah, no.
connectivity issues because he has his ceiling fan going because it's 115 degrees down there.
I'm not locking up though tonight though. That's cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Good
So,
news.
all right, guys. So that's basically it for tuning a diaphragm. It's kind of simple things, but play with them. You know, see how they respond, you know, see how they fit with the roof of your mouth, how it kind of, if it improves or reduces your calling ability. Just play with them. Everybody's a little bit different on what they like, but I think that biggest thing is taking those front tabs and bending those down just a little bit. I think you're really going to like about what that does for a read. So all right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. This one was going to be a quick one because there's not a whole lot to tuning diaphragm reads. Plus, I wanted to give you a little sneak peek on what I'm working on the backside.
Yeah, when do you think you'll have those available?
Like I said, I just picked him up Monday. I've had him 3 days. I mean, the worst part is I keep going to that first read. I really haven't played around with the others a whole lot just because that one is so much fun to play on. So I gotta go through the others and see. So at a minimum, might be able to get it kind of narrowed down and then have them make me up a few prototypes to send out to you guys to go out in the field and play with, and then give me feedback. And we'll probably do that and then launch it next year. Get some field
Yeah,
testing.
that'd be awesome.
So, okay. I will work on it. We'll make sure we get it to you guys to play with. So, all right, guys. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, though, have fun. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And I'm going to try to get my good buddy Tony Gilbertson to come and join us and talk about practice and his approach to practice and all that. For those of you that don't know, Tony is a world elk calling champion in the men's division. Just an incredible caller. Overall, just great guy too. So we've been talking about getting him on. So hopefully 2 weeks we'll get Tony on board with us and we can chit chat and pick his brain about some stuff.
Well, I sure enjoyed last week's on the replay.
Yeah,
that was great. Actually, I turned into Larry. I had to go get pen and paper and start taking some serious notes.
I'll tell you what. I have played around with that Spartan Forge. I have it on my computer. I have it downloaded on my phone. The free version is insane. I already have all the maps downloaded for my hunt area. I have all of my pins from Onyx exported and dropped into that Spartan Forge. So it's
I saw a commercial for it the other day. I was like, oh.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a
I don't know
commercial.
what it was.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool app. So
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, Mark actually dropped some pretty good nuggets and bombs in that episode.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, the things with Google Earth and Gaia GPS.
Going and changing all the controls and stuff on Google Earth, and I was like, what?
Yeah. And that's not even, I mean, that's just an hour-long discussion. What do you think is in his course?
Oh, man.
And I don't know if you saw in the description when I uploaded that, the discount code that he gave.
I did. I couldn't get the discount code to work.
Okay. Larry told me the discount code wasn't working. I messaged him. He said he was going to look into it and let me know when it's back to working. But yeah. I'll
let include Arizona because Arizona wasn't on it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. On the kits that he has, the overlays.
Yeah, it had like Montana, Colorado, Idaho, but I didn't see Arizona on it. And I'm like, well, it was like 6 states or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll take a look. So, all right, guys. Well, get back to your families. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Okay. You guys take care.
Have a great one, everybody.
You too.